A lot of transfers that have happened this summer are ones that have been long anticipated. Everyone knew that Elliot Anderson would end up at Man City, even Sandro Tonali was destined to leave Newcastle this summer, but there are some deals that have caught us completely unawares, and those are the ones we're here to talk about today. These are 10 transfers no one saw coming this summer. We'll start with Leandro Trossard. This particular one came as a massive surprise to everyone. Sure, we knew that Arsenal would try to shake things up this summer in order to tighten their grip on the Premier League title, but almost everyone thought that the left winger to be shown the door would be Martinelli, because Trossard seemed to have that clutch gene at Arsenal, but it turned out to be the Belgian walking out the door. And heck, even if we had anticipated him leaving Arsenal, surely no one saw him joining Besiktas of all clubs. No disrespect to them, but it just felt like Trossard could still be playing at a top club. Both in the just completed season and at the World Cup, Trossard looked like someone who can still play a few more years at the topmost level, so we surely would not have predicted him moving to Besiktas this summer. We also would not have predicted Lucas Digne moving to PSG. I mean, when you do think about it, it makes sense. French player joining the biggest club in France, and it's not like he's a massive superstar or anything, so he's very much okay sitting on the bench and playing backup to Nuno Mendes. However, this one just came out of nowhere. There were barely any links or rumours, it just happened suddenly right in the middle of the World Cup. Another transfer that surely happened suddenly was that of Anthony Gordon. Coming into this summer, Barcelona was linked with Alvarez, Rashford, Rafael Leao and even Yan Diomande. Gordon was barely in the conversation. In fact, it felt like the Englishman would be heading to Germany to join Bayern Munich. But then boom! Out of nowhere we heard that Barcelona wanted him, and in just a couple days the whole thing was done and Gordon was in Catalonia speaking fluent Spanish at his Barcelona unveiling. It all took us unawares. Before we could even address the possibility and viability of the deal, it had already been completed. And this wasn't even the only signing Barcelona did this summer that nobody saw coming. Do you know what the other one is? Take a guess in the comments. We'll see if you're right soon. While you're there, if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, go do that right away so you never miss out on our amazing content.
Hey fam, this is your chance to build the jersey collection you've been waiting for. The Goal 90 bundle deal is live. Buy 2 jerseys and get 10% off. Buy 3 and get 15% off. Buy 4 and get a massive 25% off. Club kits, country kits, retro classics, pick your favourites and save big. And yes, every order comes with free worldwide shipping. Goal 90 bundle deal. Buy more, save more. Shop now at Goal 90 Shop.
Done? Okay, back to the video. Let's now talk about Ibrahima Konate. Do you guys remember how this one happened? One day, Konate is assuring Liverpool fans that he's closer to signing a new deal which would keep him at the club a few more years. The very next we're hit with the bombshell that he will be leaving the club with immediate effect. And if you remember, Real Madrid had pulled out of the chase for Konate last year, so as recently as May, 1-1 would have predicted that Konate would be a Real Madrid player right now. But after he left Liverpool, Madrid returned to the table to snatch the Frenchman for free. We all know that they never pass up an opportunity to snatch up a world-class player for free. And well, guess what? They also got Bernardo Silva on a free transfer this summer, and it was one that nobody saw coming too. Yes, we knew he was going to leave Man City this summer. That announcement was made before the season ended. Now, at first he said that he would decide on where he would end up before the World Cup, and at the time every reliable reporter said that his 2 options were Barcelona and Atleti. With those 2 clubs fighting for his signature, it seemed like he had a tough decision to make, so he changed his mind and said that he would make his decision after the World Cup. Then, with nobody looking, news broke just days before the World Cup kicked off that Bernardo Silva had signed a 2-year deal with Real Madrid. The whole thing was completed within 36 hours, so there was no chance for anyone to even see it coming. And it really seems like this was the theme for Real Madrid this summer, because the Marc Cucurella signing was also super fast. In fact, his move was similar to that of Bernardo Silva's in many ways. At first it seemed like he was going to move to Barcelona or Atleti, and Real Madrid was completely out of the conversation because of his Barcelona roots. In fact, he said in April that he would rather shave his head bald than join Real Madrid, so it makes sense that nobody was anticipating this one. Well, not long before he played his first match at this World Cup, news broke that he had agreed to move to Real Madrid. According to the player himself, everything was completed in less than 48 hours, and well, as you can see, he ended up not cutting his hair. The moral lesson from this one is to never trust a word that comes out of the mouth of a professional footballer, especially when it comes to transfers. Another Chelsea departure no one saw coming was that of André Santos. We knew that Chelsea would sell players this summer. Garnacho, Jurgensen, Chalobah, and maybe even Enzo Fernandez and Cole Palmer are players we all thought would dominate the transfer news this summer. No one was really looking at André Santos, but we were shocked when he not only left Chelsea but actually moved to join rivals Manchester United. First of all, everyone thought that United would have learned their lesson about buying midfielders from Chelsea after the whole Mason Mount signing played out. Secondly, there were barely any rumours around this. Just deal done out of nowhere, and for £50 million no less. Absolutely no one saw this one coming. And it was the same with Yuri Tielemans. One day he's getting knocked out of the World Cup by Spain, the next day he's wearing a Man United shirt. But in this case, you can sort of understand why nobody saw it coming. All United had to do was to activate his €41 million release clause, and it was done. It was quite a straightforward and very quick deal. But when you look at the full scope of things, you see how crazy this one is. It felt like United had already replaced Casemiro with the signing of Ederson before the World Cup, but then they suddenly decided to pull out of the deal at the last second, which then allowed them to go and snatch Tielemans. Nobody could have predicted the club pulling out from their agreement with Atalanta, so it was almost impossible to predict that they would sign Tielemans this summer, as one needed the other to happen. Now, remember we said that there's another Barcelona transfer that no one saw coming? It was that of Karim Adeyemi. First of all, having already signed Gordon, and with Rafinha also still at the club, everyone thought that Barcelona was done with signing left wingers, so nobody was anticipating another one. And on top of that, Barcelona is a club known for technical players, so signing two roadrunners in the same window was surely not what people would have anticipated. But this one just happened so quickly. In just about 48 hours, Barcelona approached the German attacker, got a green light from him, and reached an agreement with Dortmund for a package that could rise to €29 million. Finally, did anyone really see the Illan Meslier to Arsenal move happening? We saw this guy in the Premier League a couple seasons back, and he developed a reputation for being an error magnet. At that point, everyone thought that his career at the top level was done, and that was backed up by the fact that after Leeds returned to the Premier League, he did not play a single game for them. Heck, he wasn't even named in the matchday squad for 86% of the games in the 2025-26 season. Everyone thought he would end up at a second division club or somewhere outside the top 5 leagues, only for him to end up joining the Premier League champions. Huh? Who could have called that? Also, we all thought that Arsenal would try to steer clear of goalkeepers with a reputation of being error-prone after seeing what Kepa did at the EFL Cup final this year. But oh well. Anyway, it is now time to hear from you guys. Are there more transfers that have been completed this summer that absolutely no one saw coming? Tell us about them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notifications so you never miss out on new content. Catch you in the next one. Bye.